Welcome everyone to another episode of Big Brain MMA podcast, episode 33, UFC Vegas 63. I'm your host, Big Steve. Got Scrap kept back. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Same old, yourself?
Same old. We're running a bit late, but that's all right. We're just a bit of misunderstanding. We'll get straight into it. We'll do a quick recap of last week. I had of their amazing card. So I just had just under a unit profit. Had no bets during the podcast. My favorite bet that I said was definitely going to be my favorite bet was Dariush, which he absolutely smashed. Ironically, I didn't even play him, so I don't even want to talk about it. I was a bit spooked, so a big regret there. But literally just ended up being like the Dolidze fight, like we predicted would go. Harder hitter, bigger moments, great wrestling. And then my other bet that was my second favorite was Gordon finish at $1.45, which was absolutely sweaty and wasn't a good bet at all, but it hit with 30 seconds to go, so can't really complain. Other than that, I hammered Makhachev live, played him a bit pre-fight. What else was on that card? Hit Bilal live. I wish I went bigger at minus 200. It looked like it was going to take over the fight right before the finish. Had a little bit on Yan and lost, which was a bit annoying, but it is what it is. Had a KO submission or decision. So other than that, the night started great with the Gordon fight finishing under by 30 seconds, which was lucky, and then lost a bit of money on Yan, passed on Dariush, and then he won, and then lost my last bit of profit, and then won it all back on Makhachev. So a little bit annoying, but in terms of betting, it was a hard card to bet. And I was very lucky with that, not going like 2K down with Gordon. So I'll take what I can get. 800 profit. We'll move on. How did you go, mate?
Yeah, pretty well. Just running through the results quickly. Had Rosa decision, which hit despite a knockdown and a point deduction. So feel all right. Still managing to hit that one given the circumstances. Yeah, same. I was on Motta V TD and doesn't go in a parlay, and that was a bailout spot, to be honest. Bit of the positive variance there. Felt pretty lucky to get that. Gordon obviously way outperformed his line. Makhachev looked terrible, not even in the neighborhood of covering, and looks very, very limited as a fighter. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye out for a fade on him, although I'm not sure we'll get it anytime soon. Then I had Petrosian was a pretty big spot for me, and again I thought he covered minus 200 easy, even on one leg. So pretty happy with that. I had the goes a distance and Abubakar and Gadzi. Again, was pretty happy with that. Obviously didn't expect Abubakar to just dominate as much as he did, but the guy's just not really a finisher at all. So Gadzi, although he was gassed and stuff, he never really looked in too much danger of getting finished. Had Krylov money line and by decision, hit those. Kaio's sub decision. I hit that, but I actually ended up losing on that fight because I pivoted to Muradov live. Just didn't like what I was seeing from Kaio, just constantly ending up on the bottom, getting reversed at a mount, looked gassed. But yeah, pretty perplexed by the 30-27 scorecards on that one. I thought round 2 was about as sure a thing as you could get for Muradov. So unfortunately gave back a bit of profit there. And then, Bilal, Sean Brady finding a way to get finished by Bilal Muhammad by TKO was not something I anticipated. I managed to get out of my Sean Brady position moneyline-wise live on Bilal, but then I had the goes the distance and a parlay there. So obviously that got busted. Hideous performance by Brady there. That was a huge letdown. That was terrible. I had Fioro decision, which hit, and the goes the distance. But unfortunately that parlay was parlayed with Yan, which got busted. I was on Benny, that one came in. And then, the Yan decision. I mean, I see the argument, like, I can understand how you give rounds 1 and 3 to O'Malley, but just the odds of him getting those rounds on 2 judges' scorecards seem pretty thin. So, I had Yan moneyline parlayed with the goes distance and the Chook fight, so I lost that. I ended up playing a little bit on TJ before the fight started, and then, that was obviously bad. Should have waited to live bet because he was going in there with one arm. I laid some like crazy juice on Aljo live to sort of buy out of it a bit. I'm surprised they even opened the line once it was obvious that TJ's arm was just buggered. And then, was on Islam and had a bit of the overs, over 1.5 in the main event, and those both hit. So, good night overall. Only bets I really regret. I guess the Brady GTD, just laying that kind of juice on a welterweight GTD, but man, that's not something we'd ever seen before. Bilal putting it on someone like that, but Brady striking, we knew it was bad. The Yarn juice
after that first round.
Yeah, and the Yarn juice.
After 3.
Yeah, the Yarn juice. I don't really regret because O'Malley, in my opinion, way outperformed Tape. Like I thought he looked like he'd taken a step up there. And even in a rerun, I'd still line Yarn maybe -200, -220 personally. So, don't regret too much. Those ones were obviously not great. Oh, the Makayev plays, not good on Makayev. The dude's not a finisher. He can't pass guard. His top game's bad. He's got like early round, he might just like spaz out on you early in the fight and just overwhelm you. But once you settle into the fight, he's not got very many ways to find finishers consistently. So those are bad bets.
Cool. No, very nice. I really have no regrets other than obviously I would have had a massive regret if Gordon didn't hit. The only regret is passing on Dariush when I came on here and said that's my favorite bet, and I don't know, I just pussied out. But yeah, let's move on. We seem to having gathered a bit of a crew here of regular fans. Dean, the gold standard, UFC betting experience. Ron Blair, I'll just count him as your fan. Rob Lawrence, Evan Dolan, positive variants. Haven't seen you be here before here, Evan, I don't think. Welcome. Yeah, so thanks for joining, boys. Give us a like if you haven't, but I'm sure you're the people that always like the podcast every week. So let's get into it. Try to keep this one under an hour. There's only 10 fights. So first fight of the night, Motta versus Durden. As far as I know, I don't think we have any lines on this.
We do.
Oh, we do?
BetOnline opened it earlier today.
What is it? I haven't even looked. I thought it was too soon.
BetOnline opened Motta at like +125, and a bunch of guys I knew just fucking pillaged the opener, destroyed it, and now he is. Just give me a sec. Yeah, from +125. Obviously low liquidity. I think there'll be some buyback on Durden, but -185 I can see for Motta on BetOnline. But I think Motta will still close -150 to -185 range where he is now.
For me, at that line, it's a pass.
Same.
Just because Durden will push the pace, and he is gassy, and he's been submitted before, but I don't think he's chinny. Carlos Motta can gas as well, especially if they give him like a constant wrestling fight where they push him. Obviously, he beat Jefferson Oliveira, who kept going for a few takedowns. He's got strong hips with stuff in him, but then Jefferson got on top of him in round 2. Yeah, it's just -200 is. I was going to favor him I was going to play him as a dog and maybe a slight favorite. I thought short notice guy, and Durden, having a round 1 finish in the UFC already, maybe it was it's going to have some hype on him, which it did. Obviously, they opened him up as a favorite, but yeah, it's just too hard when all the sharps are waiting for that line just to destroy it. So it will be passed for me, but man, by the time I get this in Australia, it could be 2-3 days. So who knows what the line will be.
Yeah, I pretty much agree, man. I think where it's at right now, probably right, but the short notice factor gives me a bit of pause. It's less than a week's notice. But I just have no idea what kind of shape Motta is in, right? His last fight wasn't too long ago when he knocked out Abuev, the Russian guy. Didn't take any damage, obviously. First round knockout. But it's just kind of don't really have any way of knowing. I don't think he had another fight booked. I'll just pull up his Tapology real quick. So you have to assume he's not been in fight camp. That's not to say that he hasn't been staying in shape, but he hasn't been training for a fight that he's had booked, right? So yeah, fought 2 months ago when he knocked out Abuev in the first round. But yeah, which just makes it really tough to lay this current price, in my opinion. But I do think he's the better fighter. He's definitely the better striker. He's got pretty good takedown defense, physicality, which should make Durden, tough for him to get his wrestling going. Durden also gasses out when he tries to get his wrestling going. Durden doesn't go hard early, though, so I'll probably just sit on the sidelines to see if I can get on Motta live at a better price or something. But otherwise, have a look at the Motta KO props, because dude can hit for a flyweight, and Durden sort of slows down and is not great defensively later in the fight once he starts getting a bit gassy and sloppy. So yeah, look for a live bet at this price.
Agree. We'll see what the line opens up for me. Let's move on. Dolidze V Hawes. I'll take this one away, and then I'll let you take the next two. First fight I take, because I see some of the boys really liked Hawes. First impression was, don't know how I feel about that line against a gorilla like Dolidze, whose best path is a KO. But then obviously taping it, I can see what everyone is saying. It's just in terms of talent, Hawes is the way better striker, wrestler. Dolidze is, like I said, is a big gorilla, and he's low output, and he's throws single shots. He's got good jiu-jitsu, and he's been getting away with his low volume and cardio by just grappling fighters, especially smaller fighters, considering how big he is at middleweight. But I don't think he's going to be able to do that against V Hawes, who's a really good wrestler. I think Hawes kind of gets underrated and overrated at the same time, just because of his chin issues and whatnot. But the guy's striking. He's got great 1-2 teep to the body, a lot of volume. Cardio seems to have improved. Kicked the absolute crap out of their own win in the last one. But even then, he still got cracked a couple of times in round 2. So I think his IQ is still there. He's still got the IQ. Like, why are you brawling with Win, who's got like 6 inches less than you? He's only got 1 inch longer than Roman. Roman's also slow and hittable himself. He's never been knocked out, but we've seen him hurt by like a jab against Giles, who's kind of a similar archetype in terms of athleticism and hand speed. So yeah, I just think I get why Hawes is the favorite, and I get why people are on him. In range, he should be just kicking the shit out of Dolidze and easily able to stop the takedowns. It's just Dolidze seems to be a weasel in terms of he knows how to win fights, even against Dorcas. I mean, Dorcas should have pieced them up with much better hands and volume, but he just kind of got into the clinch and dropped him on the break, and then just knocked him out in the clinch against the cage. So his best way to win this fight is the exact same way. Just clinch up Hawes, even though he's not going to get any takedowns. Look to break with elbows, knees, because in space, I just think he's going to be way too hittable and way too slow for Hawes, who's very explosive early. He's just going to be kicking the crap out of him. But again, it's one strike, and Dolidze definitely has the one-punch KO power. It's his best path here. I'm tossing between hit Hawes and then hedge with Dolidze KO, or just pass all in general, or maybe look at the under, because this kind of reminds me of the Alatang fight. I'm scared to lay the price on him as a favorite against Chad, and then I just kind of tails you and one of the other sharp guys that I respect quite a lot, and he ended up covering, winning every single round. But it's just I think Dolidze is a bit more.
Yeah, to differentiate between me and the sharp guy. Eh?
Yeah, I think Dolidze is. Yeah, that wasn't even intentional, but there we go. Unintentional comedian. But yeah, I just think Dolidze is a bit more of a scary. Like Chad, you could make the argument that he might not even be UFC level, whereas Dolidze, as underwhelming as he is, he's got the jiu-jitsu, he's got the power, he's got the physicality. So yeah, it's definitely favor Hawes. I think even you look at his level of competition, beating Imavov and Dorcas. Obviously, Dolidze been a bit more impressively, but he went to a decision with Dorcas. Knocking out Malkoon. It's just I might get around to it. Maybe play a KO decision on bet. They've got really generous odds. Get like $1.75 or something, and then hedge with Dolidze under. But yeah, Hawes for me. It's just how brave are you to play him. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely Hawes or pass for me. Obviously, concerns around his chin, but to me, I think that's priced in, especially you can get him almost minus 150 now. If Hawes' chin wasn't suspect, I think we'd be looking at a minus 230, minus 250 even here, because I struggle to see how Dolidze wins minutes. Hawes, better grappler, better striker. Dolidze could find the counter, but I don't know. He's not a very comfortable striker, especially if Hawes is going to be going first and sort of looking to tee off on him. Roman's got pretty like panicky sort of defense. He'll just try to like leap out of the pocket back up. And yeah, I think he's being a bit overrated off the meme against Dorcas. Unfortunately, I lost money there. But Hawes is guaranteed to come hard out the gate and put it on Roman, and maybe Roman just finds a shot, on the counter, but he's just not a very good striker, so it could happen, but, I'd lean against it, and I'm pretty happy to, lay current prices on Hawes, to be honest, considering I think he wins the first round almost all the time if he's not getting caught. And like you said, if you want to look to hedge with, Roman KO or something, I think that's really his best path. I think Hawes has better cardio as well. His cardio has been a concern in the past, but that's kind of been when he's come out trying to wrestle heaps. Dolidze's cardio is worse, in my opinion. He tries to have a very slow fight to conserve his cardio. And I don't think he's submitting Hawes unless it's a club sub kind of thing. His grappling process is pretty bad. Give me full Hawes here. I think he's better everywhere. Concerns around the chin, pretty much baked in at this price. And I think he's got potential to cover a much wider line than this.
I agree. Yeah, that's where it's at. It's either he looks massive fave or he gets bonked. But even on the regionals, Dolidze's whole regional scene, he's just losing on volume, and then he just does some stupid crap, spinning elbow or spinning back fist and knocks people out. And then you're like, oh, this guy's crap. And then he just keeps getting away with it in the UFC. Most of his wins. The only other thing is, he likes to invert when he's getting wrestled. He likes to invert and roll under through for the legs, but I think Hawes is going to be fine with that. I think he's just going to end up on top and hold him down and beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, Hawes is pretty solid grappler.
He is. I've never seen him in any danger whatsoever. Even when he got reversed by Dorcas, he just reversed him back again. All right, let's move on. So next fight on the card, we got Joseph Holmes versus Park. I'll let you take this one, mate.
Yeah, so despite being a pretty juiced line, I like Park here. I just think he's better everywhere. Haven't been impressed at all by Joseph Holmes. I faded him with Pickett. And I think, did we get I can't remember if it was a 1.5 or a 2.5, the over-under in that fight. We might have got a really stupid total as well there. Because basically, Holmes came off the regionals and Contender Series fighting just terrible competition and still having trouble with a few of those guys. On the feet, he's long and he tries to sort of just use his length, but he only knows how to do a few long man things. He just throws some random kicks, chucks the jab out there, he'll throw some 1-2s, but he really lacks process and ideas. He's still very green, very raw. You can tell he's not super comfortable out there. His defense, pretty non-existent. He's just being tall, right? Relies on just trying to pull his head away out of the pocket. He leaps backwards in straight lines when he backs up, and that's how Pickett was just able to kind of fall into the clinch with him whenever he wanted, because he could just crash forward knowing Holmes would just back up in a straight line to the cage and he'd be able to clinch him up there. Park on the other side, some tidy boxing. He's got a decent jab, might not be able to use it as much against the southpaw, and we did see him have some trouble against Anders southpaw in his last fight. But for me, Anders is just so much better than Holmes. And being a southpaw as well, I think he kind of uses his advantages as a southpaw a lot more than Joseph Holmes when he switches stances. I think Park can probably definitely be the minute winner standing. He'll box him up. He'll go forward behind the jab. Grappling wise, Holmes will probably try to push him on the cage and do that outside reap takedown that all Krause's guys try to do. Can't really see that working on Park, and even if you get Park down, he's generally pretty good at popping straight back to his feet. And then the main thing's the cardio, right? Joseph Holmes has shown pretty terrible cardio, especially in that Pickett fight, which wasn't a crazy high pace or anything like that. They were just turning each other a lot on the fence, and Park's shown to be able to pump out volume and, go at a crazy pace against certain guys. Like in Chukwi, the Robocop fight was an insane pace, and he nearly finished him before he got finished himself. So, again, I understand it's not for everyone to pay these kind of prices on Park, but I think he should be a bigger favorite than a minus 220, honestly. even though he doesn't bring a ton of finishing upside to the table, I just think I don't see where Holmes can beat him in what area of the fight. Like Holmes's path is like a meme finish or somehow winning 2 rounds on 2 cards, which just seems super thin to me, given what I've seen on tape. He might be improving because he's still a young and experienced guy, but yeah, I just don't see how he gets past Park here. So I think Park should be a bigger favorite. No issues with paying the current price for him personally.
I definitely think he should be favorite. I taped this guy extensively for the Contender Series fight, and man, was he underwhelming. He's essentially underwhelming in all his fights until he gets finished. The Jordan Newman fight in 2019, his debut in Bellator, he was getting ragdolled, and then he hurt Jordan Newman in round 3, so his cardio looked much better there than against Jamie Pickett, which obviously was short notice. But it's hard to really gauge his cardio because they're all just round 1 or round 2 finishes. But even then, he usually starts slow, and then he usually gets his takedowns round 2, and he has a really good rear naked choke. I like his technique on how he finishes, all different variations. He's good at getting it under the chin, the hand fighting, but his wrestling is so bad. His biggest weakness is physicality, man. Getting thrown around by Jamie Pickett, who's also bad at wrestling, it's not a good look. And I reckon the best way for Park to cover this is to wrestle, come out like he did against Phillips or
the phone
MAB, and just put on the grind, man. Put on the grind, because Holmes is going to be taken down, and if he's going to gas, he'll be from constantly defending takedowns. He's really easy to take down, and his own wrestling is bad. That's why he usually takes to round 2 to get his subs, because he struggles to take anyone down in round 1. But it's probably what gassed him out. The immediate takedown by Pickett, and then having to work his way back up. If Park just puts that grind on, he seems to have good cardio. I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I personally laid the juice on Park against Anders, because Anders is a fade against anyone, just flat-footed. And I was like, how does Anders win this? He's slow, he's low output, he's going to get jabbed up, and I don't think he's going to be able to take Park down. But he got him down a few times. He just relentlessly pursued the game plan. I think that was his fight ready, came up with an amazing game plan, and he still lost because he was getting hit in the feet. And his Park has really good boxing, really good jab. The only problem here is, if he doesn't use the wrestling, he's at a 7-inch reach advantage. And, how is that jab going to work? And, even in his fights against Nchukwi, where I played him, it was kind of close until, Nchukwi hit him in the balls and lost the point, and then got taken down and got smashed. But yeah, I don't know. I always look at it, is Park going to cover if he fights his worst possible condition? And he fought his worst possible condition against Anders and lost round 3 to Mab. So I don't know. I want to see how Joseph comes out. Like, he's one of these guys that's had all these fights in 2019. So he's obviously, like you said, very green, very fresh. There's got to be improvement. He's dangerous. He's got knees. He's got 1-2s. He's knocked everyone out. He's dropped a lot of people with 1-2s. I know Park is very durable, but doesn't mean he can't get dropped. Also, the way he gives his back a lot. Gave it to Rodriguez, and Rodriguez couldn't really finish. But now we know that Rodriguez just gets the back for fun and doesn't really plan on finishing anyone. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Should be favorite. Maybe I'll come back around to him when I do a bit more tape. But at the moment, it's like it's such a big size advantage that I can't. I'm scared away. Park showed me that he can kind of drop the ball a bit as a massive favorite.
Yeah. The Anders fight wasn't a great look, but as you say, Anders kind of like does everything Holmes does, just a bit better, way more physical, better camp, better game plan. But yeah, no, I agree. If you don't want to lay like this price on Park, I don't blame you.
Yeah, he can't. Like I said, Anders did fight the most perfect fight there. And he didn't gas, and everything went his way. He got a couple of takedowns and landed a couple lefts on Park. Park was worried about the takedown. It was just perfect, and he still lost. So I got a bit lucky there. Alrighty, let's move on. Hooper versus Garcia. I'll let you take this one again.
Yeah, I don't have any real thoughts on this, to be honest. I think it's pretty accurate aligned. Hooper looked way better in his last fight. Looked like he'd kind of leveled up a bit. Garcia's, idiot, gassy, bad grappler. So maybe he puts Hooper away, and Hooper's durability gives out here because Garcia can crack. But I mean, he nearly found a way to drop the ball against Ontiveros multiple times. Yeah, he's just a messy, undisciplined, gassy brawler. I think Hooper's going to be able to get into the clinch, find ways to drag this to the ground where he should comfortably out-grapple him. So I think that it's pretty accurately lined. You know, when I look at money line, under 2.5, Hooper sub, that sort of stuff, all seems fairly accurate to me. So yeah, I don't have any interest in betting what should be a pretty messy, low-level, scrambly fight, personally.
Indeed. It is the poster fight of variance, in my opinion, every time Hooper fights. I don't know. I feel like Garcia maybe has a chance, right? But it's hard because a lot of these people have a chance and then they get submitted against Hooper. I thought he looked a bit better physically as well against Corrales. I agree with you there. But I think he was a dog there, and that was one of the best dogs on the card. I think that was just an amazing matchup for him. It was a guy that doesn't have the best takedown defense, and he's not very physical himself, and he just gasses. Corrales just gasses badly. And he did well in round 1, and then he just let Corrales back into the fight. And he got stuck on the bottom and getting bottom of a crucifix, getting elbowed for a bit there. And then his coach said, "Mate, you let him back in into the fight," and then he came out aggressively, took Corrales down and finished him. But he's just like, he's still got that lack of physicality where he can get taken down, get thrown around. And Garcia, man, like you said, he's very sloppy, but he's super aggressive and he's super physical. And he's dropping down to featherweight now. Like all his fights in the UFC were at lightweight, and he said he wanted to fight. Featherweight was his home, but I don't know, it took him a while to drop down, like 3 or 4 fights, and now he's finally a featherweight, so he's definitely going to be even stronger. This kind of reminds me of the Pete Barrett fight, just a crap stand-up southpaw, but a lot more physical than Hooper, and he was able to disengage and kick the crap out of Hooper for 3 rounds. And honestly, Hooper was lucky to get that heel hook. I think it was 2-0 down. But you know, Garcia hits a lot harder. He's got decent wrestling. You know, he's throwing people around. He's throwing Jose Mariscal around. He's just aggressive. The only person that made him look really bad on the ground is Pena, because he backpacked him. But I don't think Hooper's backpack is as good as Pena's. Like every time he gets someone's back, people get out and they get on top of him. They scramble out. That's why his fights are so close. He's very scramble heavy. Even Corrales, when he was gassed, he was getting out, getting to his back. But he does have very good jiu-jitsu. I don't know. I'm scared of this one because, yeah, Garcia is dropping down to featherweight. He's going to be so much more explosive and stronger than him. The question is, how does he defend heel hooks and the Imanari rolls that the hook is going to go for? What happens when he drops down for guard? But man, if he does that, if he ends up on the bottom, I've seen Garcia do the exact same thing against Jose Mariscal, do the crucifix and drop absolute bombs of elbows on him. Like, what happens if he ends up on bottom of Garcia and not someone like Corrales? Like, Garcia hits hard, man. He's got knockout power. I've seen him take down Ontiveros, who's not that good. I get it, but as soon as he took him down, he just started to lay on the beating on him with ground and pound. And I think Hooper's a lot less physical. And plus, Garcia gets dropped a lot, but people that hit hard. But I mean, Hooper's just absolute noodle arms. Makashate and even on Tiveros, he landed a kick on Holland as well, an axe kick. He's dangerous in the stand-up at least. But yeah, very volatile fight, man. I think, what's the under here? I thought about it, but I think it's juice. I've only got it on one book. Let me just check now. It's under 2.5, so it's potential. But Corrales did go over the 2.5. $1.65.
Yeah, I could see Hooper taking Garcia's shots just because he's crazy durable. And Hooper does struggle to kind of like hold guys in one position long enough to finish them a lot of the time. So yeah, I'm not too interested at the current price.
It doesn't fill me with confidence considering how early Corrales was gassed and he went over the 2.5. But if anything, Hooper does have amazing ground and pound. I'll give him that. He's not your typical jiu-jitsu guy. He's just constant ground and pound. I like it. He's looking for the finish.
To be honest, that's the only thing that would interest me is a little stab on the Hooper. And then, I don't know, you could even maybe go ends KO and cover the Garcia KO. Might be a good price. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
We'll see, man. I was like taping and I was like, oh, I don't know. I think what happens when Garcia takes him down? Because I've seen obviously Steven Ocho Peterson take Hooper down in the third and just have no problem holding him down in half guard. obviously he's a black belt, and that's, he's never been submitted. Because he has been submitted once, but I've never seen anything else, other than Pena getting his back. But then again, Pena couldn't submit him. 3 rounds of having his back, and he had a full locked-in triangle on Pena as well. It's a variance fight. I mean, you got to play Hooper as a massive dog, like in a Corrales fight, or you got to play his opponents as massive dogs, like people like Peterson. But this one, I don't know how much confidence Garcia gives me to play him. He seems to have crap for brains. So I don't know.
Yeah. Next.
Good idea. Just in time for you to take this one away, mate.
Oh God. With this one, I was kind of hoping we were going to get a good De Lima price, but it just wasn't the case at all. He'd been really historically underrated by the market, I feel, and he's kind of addressed a lot of his issues that he's had historically. Even though the fight that was tough, some really good prices there on his money line, and especially him by decision as well. I thought unanimous decision for Blagoy was a bit tough there. I thought De Lima, did enough to at least warrant a split decision or something. But yeah, so I was thinking maybe we'd get him as a slight dog or pick him here, but market was wise to it. He's a reasonable, moderate favorite here. Over 2.5 is no good either. So yeah, I don't really have much interest on him, obviously. Arlovski, bit of a dog now. Not too interested in playing his money line. I did take a stab on his decision line, plus 275. I mean, just go scroll through his record. The dude wins decisions, right? De Lima, I'd expect him to start out pretty hot, probably win the first round. He comes out throwing those big power shots, big leg kicks early on, but then tends to slow down. Issue here is I'm not sure Arlovski's going to do enough to make him really, really tired and find the shots like Blagoy did. But every time I doubt Arlovski, right, he just finds ways to manufacture split decisions and win them. So yeah, Arlovski by decision for a small poke, even though if De Lima gets tired, I'm not sure Arlovski's going to be capable or even interested in putting him away. Because he just wants to point fight and collect his check these days without taking damage. So yeah, little poke on Arlovski decision, small bet because I anticipate you may get a bit of live spots, and De Lima's a pretty good round 1 winner. So yeah, that's about it for me.
I can't disagree with too much. Rob Lawrence, loving this channel, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, Rob. Listen to him, boys. He's I don't know the guy, but he knows his stuff. The only thing I disagree with is I would just live this bet, live bet this fight. I think Lima is live to finally knock out Arlovski in the first round, like back in the old days. Probably one of the hardest hitters he's ever faced recently, just explosive. Lima seems to be... I was really stuck in on what to play in that Blagoy fight. It's because he either wrestles people, goes to decision, he knocks him out in round 1, or he gets finished himself. And I was like, what's going to happen in this fight with Blagoy? Because Blagoy is not a very good finisher. And Lima almost won a decision by not wrestling, like a 3-round striking decision, which kind of showed me that he's capable of it. He's capable of it. Do I want to bank on that here? Definitely not. Not a minus 200. I think he's still gas bad against Ivanov. He's still live for Arlovski just to stick and move on him to a decision, like you said. But to me personally, I think Lima's a bit smarter than people give him credit for. I mean, he wrestled Green for 3 rounds because he had to. He knocked out Rothwell on the first because that's probably his best chance. He was most likely going to lose a decision once gassing. And he just took the volume off a bit against Ivanov and went to a decision because he knew there was no way he was going to knock that guy out. Still the shots that I've seen Ivanov eat in that round 1, I think would put out Arlovski. I think Arlovski's been getting away with some really, really low-level competition. Jake Collier, Jacoby V Vanderaa, Carlos Felipe, Sherman. Sherman hurt him. Aspinall hurt him. Linz hurt him. Collier was just swinging for the fences. Felipe was hurting him a lot in round 2 or 3. He's gassing a lot more now. So I could still see Lima winning a close decision just because Arlovski leaves a lot to be desired recently. Even he just gasses out bad. He should be on maybe a 2-fight losing streak. But yeah, I just think Lima's going to come out and he knows that he doesn't want to lose a close decision. He might come out here looking to bang. And the only thing I'm willing to play is Lima round 1 KO. Hopefully we get good line after a couple of decisions for Lima and Arlovski not being sparked in a long time. Other than that, nothing else really interests me. I don't want to be losing money on Arlovski by decision. I'll live bet it. I'll live bet it if he survives, and it'll give me an idea of how Lima's cardio looks, how both their cardio looks. But yeah, if Lima comes out there slow and doesn't want to waste his energy like in the Blagoy fight, I can see him winning that. Another decision.
Lima KO1 price is not very good at Bet Online, plus 425. So you got to think he's KOing him, at KO1ing him at like 25% plus, which bit of a stretch for me. Just because Arlovski's so negative, man. He's not an easy guy to like put away, because if you start banging, he's just going to start running away,
He runs away, you're right, but it's, the Lima can counter him as well.
Maybe. I think like since he seems to be pretty tight with Conan, and those ATT guys seem to have taken him a bit further away from that style, fighting a bit smarter now. He might go back to it, like you say, because kind of interesting, right? Arlovski being a former, was he still ATT? Is this like a ATT versus ATT fight, I guess?
No, he would have. He says American top team for Lima still, so.
No, yeah, Arlovski, is he still there as well?
Let me check.
I know they fight each other sometimes because that gym's just so big now that, guys are just...
He would be. He wouldn't get out of that gym that's rejuvenated.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? They're probably like familiar with each other somewhat. They train under the same roof. Obviously, they're not like best friends or anything because they're fighting each other. But yeah, kind of interesting little tidbit there, I guess. But no, I get you, man. Like, I thought about it, but if De Lima chooses to fight conservatively, then you never know. Round one might be close, but yeah, obviously he might die as well. So no issues waiting for live bet as well. I think that's a perfectly fine approach. I'm just trying to make a pre-bet on some fights because Chad keeps giving me shit saying that we just said a live bet every fight on here.
Oh, well, Chad can't really hold a candle to us in terms of betting, so who cares what he says? You got to pass sometimes. All right, let's move on. Another beautiful. I'm interested on your thoughts on this fight because the line is a bit out there. Tresean Gore versus Josh Fremd. Gore seemed to prove to himself a bit of a fraud, which kind of got that from his tape in the last few fights, and now he's definitely confirmed it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree, man. Interesting to hear you say the price is a bit out there because I think there's value on Fremd. I think Fremd's a solid fighter, like going back and watching his tape, he's certainly not like elite or anything like that, but I think he's a perfectly fine like mid-level middleweight in the UFC. But if we touch on Gore quickly first, right? Like he ran through a bunch of cans and low-level guys on regionals and tough. He's only had a couple fights. He's 3-2, right? And he's lost to like the only two half-decent fighters that he's faced. So, yeah, for me, I just think the guy's a huge fraud. I think he just really lacks in the IQ and the mental department. He's obviously reasonably physically gifted, good athlete. When he does throw strikes, they look good, right? The mechanics are good, pretty sharp. But, yeah, it's all just in the head for him, right? He doesn't seem to have an understanding of what he needs to do to win fights. Up until his last one, he just doesn't seem to grasp the fact that he's losing when he's just throwing no strikes per round and just letting himself be outlanded. Against Battle, you could see like, he was just kind of thinking like, these strikes don't hurt, so they don't score. And it's like, nah, man, you're getting out volumed, like you're not throwing anything. And even though Battle's just hitting your guard, like that's a lot more than you're doing. And just remember watching him on the Ultimate Fighter, like he's a dumb guy, man. He's not a smart guy. Like you listen to him talk, he's got some developmental issues. He's not a very smart guy. His grappling is a little bit sus as well. Yeah, literally. That you put him firmly in that bucket. On the other side, Fremd, classic like Factory X sort of archetype, long guy, kicky, lots of volume. I think his hands are actually pretty decent by Factory X standards. Knows how to fight in the clinch. And we saw against Fluffy, his grappling is not bad. Obviously, he lost there coming in on like really short notice against Fluffy, got out grappled. But in round two, he out grappled Fluffy, was on top. He never sort of accepted bad positions, never got finished by Fluffy, which is impressive in itself on short notice. So, yeah, I mean, outside Gore finding a big shot here and randomly finishing Fremd, who can take some punishment, pretty durable, got put away by Robocop, but again, Robocop's like a top 10 guy and a huge hitter. I just don't see how Gore competes on minutes. The one time he sort of tried to take some initiative and do stuff. The last fight, he got turned off by fucking Cody Brundage, which is hilarious, by like a pretty weak arm punch. And Brundage, being a teammate of Fremd, I think is just, something that probably helps them a little bit, just having that experience that Camp's prepared for Tresean Gore before. So yeah, at Fremd, around the minus 170 at the moment, anything like minus 200 or better, I think is fine, because Gore's probably going to be reliant on a finish. And even if he comes out fighting like he did against Brundage, like, Brundage is terrible, man. Guy can't strike at all. Gore's not going to be able to do that to Fremd. He's got way more answers on the feet. And you never know, Fremd could even bring his own grappling into play. I was pretty impressed by what I saw against Fluffy, and he's grappled in a few of his regionals. He submitted Bauman in his last fight before his call up to the UFC. So, yep, give me Josh Fremd here. I'm going quite a favourite heavy this card, which is kind of unusual for me. But yeah, I think he's the side.
I agree. I just when I said interesting, I just thought, after all the hype on Gore, now he's a massive underdog to like someone like Fremd, I thought Fremd was decent when he was going up against Fluffy. I didn't play Fluffy there because I was just I was like, this 6'2" guy, what is he, 6'4" actually? It seems quite dangerous. I'm kind of scared, with Fluffy's durability to the body at least. And when he was smashing him, I was like, I regret, I should have played it. But then upon retaping, like you said, Fremd took him down, reversed it, and just the comfortability in Hernandez's, headlock series, just not even to be close to submitted, which is Hernandez's best submissions. He's got power, he's long, and now I even think that Gore's chinny on top of being stupid and low volume and bad IQ. Is he chinny? I think Brundage does hit hard. He's underrated power. See some of his regionals, he's your typical, wrestle boxer with big overhands, but yeah, the fact he went out cold, man. He went out cold from a couple of punches in mount. It was the list of just red flags on Gore just keeps going. And, Fremd is going to stay long, and he does have good power as well. He sparked out Bruno Oliveira with one punch. Before he submitted Joel, Mr. Herpes Bauman, he dropped him with a clean 1-2. He's very well-rounded, man. I agree on the favorite line, but the only thing I don't like about Fremd is how kind of vulnerable he is to get hurt. Sparked with a 1-2 against RoboCop, which, yes, it is RoboCop. Got dropped by Bauman, got dropped by Vellante in LFA, but now we've seen Vellante win in 20 seconds, so he's obviously got power. And, Gore doesn't have anything, it's power. So that kind of scares me, playing like this massive line. And, if Gore comes out the exact same way, just pressure with low volume and be there to be hit by the jabs of Fremd and the 1-2, then he's got no chance in this fight. He's absolutely got no chance in this fight. And the other way Fremd's lost is, by getting wrestled. He got grappled by Robert Gidron in 2018, and obviously, Hernandez out-wrestled him. So he's a good wrestler himself and a black belt. It's just a bit of a lack of physicality sometimes when defending takedowns. Gore can definitely take him down. Gore sometimes goes for his own takedowns. He did it to Brian Battle, and I see it on regionals, but there's no proper game plan there. He gets a takedown and then gets reversed, or they get up and he slows down. It's just he hasn't pieced his game together yet. So another fight where I'm just like, do I lay the juice or do I just pass? Because Gore's got big power, which Fremd, he's been hurt before. But, I think he might just hurt Fremd, but he's going to put him out cold. That's the thing. I don't think so. So I might be there with you, man. The under, I think the under is something average. What do you think on the under?
Let me just have a quick look. What is it?
I think it's under 2.5.
Yeah, it is. It's no, it's a 1.5. I think it opened 2.5 and probably got steamed. So yeah, over 1.5 minus 185, under 1.5 plus 155. You know me and my under 1.5, so I need them to be like the mismatch or like crazy, because Gore's just can be so negative, so that turns me off straight away. Yeah, NCO could be a decent price. You never know. See what that is when it comes out.
I can get 2.5 at Pick'em. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, it kind of covers Gore's only path to victory in my eyes, which is a finish. In terms of Fremd finishing, if he's just like putting volume on Gore and like cruising, I'm just not sure how hard he's going to go for it. But I mean, he stays busy. He does continue to pump out good volume. And it's just like, where's Gore's durability, right? That Brundage finish was obviously super concerning. And he fought Battle, who's a complete pillow fist before that. So I just don't really have a good read on Gore's like durability. But I don't hate it, man, because like it covers Gore's path to victory, and then Fremd's obviously going to be live for it with the amount of strikes he throws out there and lands. He could maybe even sub Gore as well. You never know. Like I was pretty impressed by his grappling, to be honest. And he, against like Bauman, he's shown that he's willing to mix in a takedown here and there. You know, although Gore's takedown defense first layer does seem pretty solid, but yeah, I don't hate it. But personally, I'll just stick to Fremd moneyline. If it was a Fremd decision and I burn, you know, profit betting the under, I'd be kind of annoyed. So I'll just stick to the read I feel best about, which is Fremd moneyline.
Exactly, yeah, burning profits are the worst. All right, let's move on. Let's address this comment. Gore has to win though. Got to get a bit Gore, or else he's gone. See, that's back when I was younger and when I was just gambling on soccer. My dad would always say that. I go, well, why are you betting on him, Dad? Like, and he goes, oh, because he needs to win. You know, the pressure's on him. He needs to win. Otherwise, the manager's going to get to win. That's what I said. And then the guy would always lose. I'm like, cool. Then he needed to win and he didn't win. Like, it's like, yeah, God needs to win. God needed to win last fight and he didn't. He needed to win 2 fights ago to prove that he's the ultimate fighter, and he dropped the ball. So, I mean, yeah, I just thought it was a funny example. It just brought me back. But let's move on. All right. It's a shame that I have to take this one away because this is the people's main event, and I know you have a take on it, like a few others.
Ooh, baby.
Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Jared Vanderaa. The lines on this one have been going a bit up and down since I started taping it. A bit of money came with Vanderaa, and now the money has come in and the juice Acosta even more. I get it because honestly, from tape, Acosta doesn't seem that amazing to be, you know, minus 200. What it comes down to is Acosta probably only looks minus 200 or covers 200 if he knocks out Vanderaa. And I mean, up to this point, I thought Vanderaa was the most durable person in the world, but getting knocked out by Sherman is a red flag. I think Acosta does have better punching power than someone like Sherman. He also carries his power late. If he doesn't knock out Vanderaa, then yes, it could be sweaty. Vanderaa is an oaf, and he's, you know, got a million disadvantages, but he does pump out the volume when he gets his hands going. The only time he can't do that is when he's fighting someone like Arlovski, who's got much better footwork than him and is elusive. But I don't think Costa's exactly like Arlovski. He does have much better footwork than Vanderaa. The big thing here is Acosta, just like someone else on the card, he has one fight in 2018, and then his last 6 fights were from 2001 July till now. So he's just over a year. He's had 6 professional fights, and his earlier fights, they look horrendous, and you just see slight improvements in every other fight. And his high level of competition, you know, Bellator, LFA, Contender Series. I just feel like Vanderaa might look value, and he could look value if he doesn't get knocked out. And then Costa just going to improve some more again. You know, he's an athletic. I just think he's a slightly athletic, more powerful version of Vanderaa, and less stupid as well. So I understand everyone playing Vanderaa, but I've lost enough money trying to play him as a dog. He's just not trustworthy, and he's just way too hittable. He's way too hittable against the guy that hits hard. So all the volume that Vanderaa might get and add up here for a decision, I think he just might undo it by getting knocked out late or early, or just getting wobbled. Like Sherman was just wobbling him by one shot, just because the speed advantage is so different. So Acosta's the pick for me. I don't have any confidence playing him at minus 200, making his debut, because like I said, he's not that amazing, especially when he doesn't get the KO. But Vanderaa, like, good luck to anyone playing him. It's not for me. But I can see the side. What is your take?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much most of what you said there, except the difference is that I'm playing Jared Vanderaa. He's unfortunately lost me a bit of money in his fights against Sherman and Olenek. The guy's not very sharp, to say the least. But man, there's just like low-level heavyweight. He's like out to plus 190 now. I haven't seen anything from Acosta that makes me think he's gonna justify this price. So it's just kind of one of those auto bet scenarios, you know. Vanderaa, obviously historically durable. The Sherman finish, not the best look, but that was kind of like an accumulation I think he just took a lot of shots over the course of that fight, and just the chin finally gave out, right? Acosta, I don't trust his gas tank, don't trust his defensive grappling. I think Vanderaa can hang on volume. You can jab him. He can probably low kick him a bunch. So yeah, I mean, if you're like, I'm just out of the Jared Vanderaa business, he's an idiot, he's lost me too much money, just don't want to be involved, totally get it, can't blame you at all. But yeah, for me, I just think there's a bit of value at the current line, and maybe he drops the ball here for a third time in a row, who knows. But just these contender guys, man, and just super low level heavyweights out at these juice prices when they've proved nothing, I got to take the other side. So yeah, Vanderaa for me.
Fair enough, mate. All the best luck to you.
Yep, I'm probably going to need it.
All the best luck. Yeah, he just matches his reach and height. He's just, yeah. I'll look to live bet. I mean, if he doesn't knock him out in rounds 1 and 2, then his chances do drop. But like I said, carry late. I'm just even if
live bet could be a look. Shout out, Chad.
Even if I live bet it, I can expect to just lose my money like 3 minutes later when Costa knocks him out. Just like Sherman. Like, who expected Sherman, who always gasses bad in round 3, to knock out Vanderaa in round 3? That was such an unpredictable thing for me.
Yeah, that was weird. But to his credit, I think that was just like an improved Chase Sherman, because I think historically you put older versions of Chase Sherman in that same fight and he probably would gas. He seems like he just showed up with better cardio that time, to be honest.
Oh, it's a bit weird. It's not like this was the only fight he needed to win. He was like on a 4-fight losing streak and he still didn't bother to fix his cardio. I'm surprised he hasn't popped for the juice, to be honest. But
yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Next fight, we got Dustin Jacoby versus Khalil Roundtree. Khalil, one of my favorite fighters. This is the only locked-in play I have at the moment. I have Roundtree. Didn't think I would play him just because, I know Khalil very well. He's known to let people down, like myself as well. Very inconsistent. But what it comes down to is Justin Jacoby. He's been a money train for me. I love his style. Just kind of one of those trustworthy, smart guys. He's going to pump up the volume. Ever since Contender, when I laid the juice on him. Ladette, Grisham got lucky there. Kudalaba got a draw, got my money back. Darren Stewart, John Allan by decision. Like, he's literally been a money train. And I faded him against Mikhail Small, and I thought it was a great bet. He lost the round 1 clean. Yes, it was a bit injured there. What it comes down to is he's a bit slow and unathletic. And, Mikhail kind of proved it there. He was a lot faster. He was cracking him with that left hand. Also another southpaw like Khalil. And just obviously died. He's tiny. Dropped to middleweight after that, which is a smart move. And obviously Jacoby, good IQ, kind of leaned on him a bit, used his wrestling to slow him down, and did what he had to do to win round 3. I'm pretty sure he was injured as well. But just, Roundtree, I think he visibly came in bad shape against Prachnio. I think he missed weight for that one. And he just, conserved his energy and just let the fight get away. Just barely lost round 1, hurt him in round 2, didn't swarm for the finish, and just gave away round 3. And Prachnio just kept spamming body kicks and leg kicks, and obviously a lot of them were blocked, but the judges just saw more volume. And that's the problem with Khalil, is the volume. But the way he wins his fights is he just unloads with just brutal combinations, and he's got nice counters, and he's relatively durable. I mean, when he gets finished, he usually just gets swarmed or, with ground game or submitted. Obviously, Walker one-shot KO'd him with a beautiful elbow in the clinch, but even when he's gassed, he kind of stays durable in there. I just think Khalil's going to have the massive speed advantage, power advantage. It's a bit risky. I mean, I woke up this morning kind of having cold feet with the bet. What is UFC betting experience? He was injured and didn't use his leg. I do realize that. I mean, Joe Rogan wouldn't shut up about it. But, I mean, he was also a southpaw. And Milanchik kept moving. And he did throw one leg kick in round 1, and Mikhail caught it and dumped him, took him down. And after that, he didn't throw it. So it could also be that he didn't want his leg kick to keep getting caught. Khalil's really good at countering. He knocked out the Turkish dude. I forgot his name. What's his name? Help me out, mate. Gokhan Saki. Yeah, he knocked him out with a beautiful counter left. He's just so fast, and he can counter on the back foot. And he just, the reason I played him is I can see this being a low output fight. Just Jacoby looking to calf kick, feint. But when Khalil decides to let go, I think Jacoby's head's going to be there to be hit. He's been hit multiple times. Been hit by Mikal. It's because he has his hands low and he looks to counter. He's very comfortable in the pocket. Obviously, we've seen Griffin drop him as well. That was more of a jab, and Grisham's another very slow plotting fighter. It's a scary bet, but I have to go with my eyes here. I just feel like Khalil can keep this competitive for 3 rounds, even when he slows down in the third. If he just explodes at the right times and lands the bigger eye-catching shots, and I mean he's capable of knocking out Jacoby. Jacoby's, he hasn't been knocked out much, but he other than his old UFC stint, but he can be knocked out. His chin's not amazing. He's just very durable, and I think Jacoby can grapple and push him against the cage, which is probably why he's the favorite and probably has the better cardio. But yeah, I just have to. I mean, this last Khalil where he's just patient in the first round against Robertson and just decided to knock him out in the second when he landed a beautiful counter, or came out super hard against old mate Bukaskis and then tapered it down a bit in the second and then knocked him out. He just seems to be a lot more measured and have better cardio and be mentally all there. So if this goes to a 3-round striking decision, I mean, I don't know how Dustin Jacoby covers $1.60, $1.58 line. If you got an even better line, like some of the people I know did, then even better bet. Probably minimum marginal value here, but yeah, I just think, I mean, you look at Khalil's, even against John Allan, did he cover? I mean, I guess he did because he won a 30-27, but John Allan, another bad fighter. It's just, I think this is a step up in a weird way. Maybe not a step up from Jung in terms of quality, because Jung was ranked, but look at Jung, man, just a slow, plotting, hittable light heavyweight, right? Sam Ali was treating him like a punching bag. This is just the massive speed and explosiveness advantage here. I just have to hit it. So I have Khalil. Like I said, woke up with a bit of cold feet this morning just because I don't want to lose money on this card. I think by the end of the week I'll have some better spots. But from what I've seen, I have to stick to my gut. So Khalil, and yeah, like someone says, you can probably live bet him. But it's hard because Khalil could do nothing in round 1, like against Robertson, and then just come out and knock out Jacoby, or win round 2, or come out strong in the first, and then you don't have a live bet, and he loses the second, and then saves his energy for the third. So, dog or pass for me, man. I got to go Khalil. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything, mate. I'm also on Khalil. I got a plus 185, so pretty happy with that price. Yeah, I just agree. I think like Jacoby's, I guess, advantages here, his volume over the course of 3 rounds and his cardio. But I would say, him covering this price is almost entirely reliant on Khalil sort of slowing down a bit. And then open stance is quite interesting. Harder for Jacoby to get the leg kicks off, but he does switch. But the thing with Jacoby is his hands aren't very good, right? Offensively, they're okay. He throws like weird, like karate style punches. But defensively, his hands are very bad. Like his boxing defense is very bad. Like you alluded to, he's always got his hands down. He doesn't really have head movement. His defense, again, is just classic MMA, right? It's just run backwards out of the pocket. So I think like the dynamic is going to let Khalil get on the front foot and stay on the front foot and sort of let him get that effective, like measured pressure game going that we've seen from him in his last few fights. And just optically, I think he's going to look good to the judges, right? Like being the one going forward, pushing Jacoby backwards in the small cage, looking to land his power strikes, good counters, as you say. So, yeah, I mean, through the course of the first 7 minutes, if Khalil's cardio is fine, I'd expect this to look like pretty much a pick-em fight, or maybe Khalil even just small favorite, just because going forward tends to win fights, So, yeah, I like him as the dog here. I think if he starts to slow down, you can hopefully try and bail out of your position live. But, yeah, it was a bit of a perplexing line to me, especially where it opened. Jacoby in like the minus 200 is pretty wild. The only thing with Khalil is he's just a bit of a, variance kind of guy. Sometimes he just shows up and doesn't seem particularly interested in fighting. But he's looked pretty good his last couple, and he does seem to have made some solid changes and figured out the game plan a bit. And yeah, just that power Muay Thai striking, I think, is just can give Jacoby some issues because he's hittable. And he just kind of relies on leg kicking and running around guys a lot. And yeah, southpaw I think is also something else that's a bit tricky for him, as we saw versus Oleksiejczuk. So yeah, I like Khalil here. Back-to-back dogs, light heavyweight and heavyweight, feels good.
This one's probably a lot more comfortable than Jacoby V Vanderaa. Goes without saying. This honestly, the more I think about it, how does Jacoby cover? Even if he starts to grapple him a bit, hold him against the cage, he did that against an absolute gassed middleweight, Mikal, and that was close. That was a close 29-28.
Yeah. I was on Jacoby there, and I was friggin' sweating. I made a decent bit off Jacoby, same as you, right? He's been a pretty good money trade in his UFC run, but yeah, this is not a spot to be backing him, at least pre-fight. I don't think. Good chance he's a dog after round one.
He's very reliable, man. He does what he needs to do. But when is Khalil looked very bad against another striker? They're giving him a strike. It seems like they're almost setting up Khalil to get a jammy ranking by knocking out Jacoby. Which smart move because he's absolute fireworks. But yeah, we agree on that one. Let's move on, and let's see if we can smash these next two out quick. Because personally, I don't have great leans. Team Means versus Max Griffin. I really hate these this round robin of mid-tier welterweights. Max Griffin, Team Means, Mike Perry, Morono, Alex Pereira, Oliveira. Sorry. The guy's been cut now. They're just all fighting each other. They're going around in circles, and I always hate taping them. And they're always close fights, close decisions. So just going along the lines of that. I mean, it's a dog or pass. I don't know how Griffin covers almost minus 200 unless he knocks out Means. Means durability not what he used to be, but yeah, he's going to come forward. He surprised me against someone like Holland. How much shots he took in the end, had to get club and subbed. Griffin just skirts on the outside, looks to run away, fights like a girl, leg kicks and runs, gets tired by round 2 and 3 because he just can't keep that pace up. He's got his own good wrestling, which he never uses, waits till like round 2 or 3 to use the wrestling. His best round usually round 1 when he's fresh. Decent power, he's got massive reach. I have him, he should be the favorite just because he seems to be less shop-worn and a lot more athletic and faster, and Means kind of plods into pocket. Himself, looking for brawls, looking to use his boxing and takedowns. I don't know if he does have very good wrestling. It's not even underrated anymore. I think everyone knows it now. I don't know if he can get it off on Griffin. Even Neil Magny couldn't really get anything off on Griffin until round 3 when, like I said, when he gets gassed the most. But I think by that point, Means is going to be quite slow as well. I just see it like a grindy veterans fight where it's dog or pass. It's good luck. I mean, Max Griffin only covers this line against the bottom of the barrel fighters like Son Kanan and Ramiz Brahimaj, people that are not UFC level. Looking good against Neil Magny and getting a robbery split is just because Magny is one of the worst ranked welterweights. Like, he always has tough fights against the level opponents, but he always wins. Like, he always gives someone a knockdown or a takedown or some cage time, but he ends up winning. So it doesn't really say anything to me. Dog or pass for me. Griffin should be the more athletic, faster guy, but I just no confidence in this line and something stopping. No real confidence in Means. Like, he's gonna have to strike for 3 rounds. He's probably gonna get cracked a few times. So big pass fight, and I hated taping this. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I guess the line, you have to give Griffin a bit of a small favourite status, just like you said, to Means. Even though they're pretty much the same age, just shows signs of being a bit more shot-worn in terms of his durability. I do have a soft spot for Tim Means, though. I think he's a really good fighter, skills-wise. But, yeah, his durability is kind of the thing that just sometimes lets him down. No interest in betting Griffin at Juice. He's, like you said, gassy. He doesn't always fight optimally. Hittable, I think striking-wise, Griffin's probably got a bit more chance to find the knockout, but Tim Means probably has a bit more minute-winning equity, assuming he doesn't show up looking terrible. His volume's just a bit better. I just like his striking process. I think he puts combinations together a little bit better. He goes to the body and the legs. I think all around he's just a bit of a better put-together striker than Max Griffin. He's probably the better wrestler as well. Like, Griffin doesn't really... Sometimes he'll go on for takedowns depending on the opponent. But I think Means wrestling a little bit better. So I'm looking to bet Means, but I'm going to be doing it live because I just need to see him turn up looking not shit, basically. So yeah, I think even if Means like competes pretty well round one, you're still going to get like evens or something on the live line, maybe even still small dog money, because even if Means wins, it's unlikely he just like blows Griffin out of the water round one. You know, it's probably still going to be a pretty close competitive fight. So I'll just wait to see the right things before I get involved live. In terms of the total, it's probably about right. Like, it probably likely does go to decision, but at the same time, both guys are getting up there in age a bit. Means durability not great. Griffin, bit of an underrated hitter. He can crack a bit. So yeah, I'm not going to be touching that either. I mean, Max Griffin, no scorecards could be an interesting look. I'm not sure if Means finishes him, but then Griffin's cardio is pretty bad. His round threes are usually pretty ugly, and Means hits the body and stuff like that. So you never know what could happen. So yeah, no strong thoughts. Yeah, I'll be just seeing how it plays out and maybe getting involved live.
Agree. Yeah, live bet will be good because, like we said, best round one for Griffin, and then we can see how Means handles it. You know, being at such a speed disadvantage early. If he does okay, then you would imagine he would do much better in rounds 2 and 3 when Griffin slows down a bit. But let's move on. Last fight of the card, and no doubt the best fight as well. We've got Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen. I personally feel like I have an amazing read on Kattar. I've been betting on him all these fights, early fights where he's won. You know, Lamas, Gold, Fish Gold, Jeremy Stevens. I hammered him at Danny Ige. Faded him against Holloway against the ridiculous line, recency bias line. And then obviously faded him against Josh Emmett as well, which you talked about on the podcast. Maybe that was a bit of a robbery, but you know, the value was there, and he just doesn't throw much, especially when he gets backed up. Arnold Allen, on the other hand, I don't have as much of a read on him, so I'm hoping maybe you can help me out with that. And then also the kind of fight that it is, a 5-round striking fight. I never really have the best takes on 5-round striking fights. You know, it's just who has the edge. You know, I have to break down the jabs and all this mumbo jumbo, unless it's like big things like cardio and power, etc., etc. But do you have a solid read or potentially any value on these odds?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty surprised by the live movement, to be honest. Calvin Kattar's now just turned dog, which I think is value, to be honest. You know, unless, again, his durability's gone off a cliff, which we kind of tend to wonder with him after every fight since Holloway. I think he probably warrants like a minus 150 price tag at least. Again, and it's mainly just because that dynamic of like Allen's just too happy to accept the back foot. Southpaw could potentially give Kattar some issues, but you know, his offense does kind of need to be built off his jab. But Allen, yeah, he's just a bit underwhelming. You know, he's had some good wins, but like the Sadiq one was a bit weird because he pretty much won that off the back of some knockdowns, which he never really gets. And then obviously he beat just a very shot Dan Hooker, who should not have been at featherweight. And then before that, you know, he's winning against guys like Gilbert Melendez and that sort of stuff. So Kattar's obviously fought and beaten the much better competition. I thought he won the Josh Emmett fight for what it's worth, although it was close, but I thought Kattar probably deserved the decision. And again, I think he's just going to be able to go on the front foot whenever he wants, and I just can't see Allen doing enough off the back foot here to win rounds consistently. It's going to be in the small cage at the apex, which again benefits Kattar. More room and harder for Allen to kind of run around. That's a good point brought up there as well. Yeah, Allen's 5-round cardio, big question mark. We know Kattar can go 5 rounds easy, and he kind of builds pretty well over the course of the 5 rounds as well. He starts looking to put his combinations together. So yeah, Arnold Allen going to a favorite now is just kind of curious to me. I mean, his win is probably going to be like a pretty close decision, whereas I think Kattar's got a lot more upside than that. So he's clearly this side to me as the dog. He's pretty much got the finishing equity. I think he's got probably the chance to just win rounds more clearly by going forward and landing volume, whereas Allen's kind of on the back foot, throwing 1-2 combinations, running away, leg kicking. You know, I'm not sure that, you know, his style really is going to warrant a favorite price tag here. So yeah, I like Calvin Kattar in this fight.
I understand the line movement because before I taped it, I saw Allen as $2.30, and I was just going to hit it blindly. I kind of wish I did because now I could obviously arb out. I missed out on it, and I thought about it. I was like you said, I'm always fading Kattar, so I was like, Allen's a bit underrated here. Why is he $2.30? Kattar's dropped the ball before, against Emmett, against not against Giga, against he's had closer fights than he should have. Just doesn't let his hands go sometimes. Just keeps jabbing instead of just throwing that 1-2, which is his best power punch. I agree. Like you said, Allen fights a lot on the back foot, but it works for him. He's a lot faster. And like even against Dan Hooker, man, that speed advantage was insane. And I think it kind of reminds me of Bilal Muhammad. Like he does what he needs to do. He backs up when he needs to back up. He will pressure when he needs to pressure. He will get more aggressive. But at the end of the day, just what our Hawes said that's the first thing that stood out to me when I watched it. He seemed to lose round 3 because he gassed against Sadiq Yusuf, which was a bit of a red flag because Yusuf himself usually loses round 3 to Cardia. But he did wrestle Yusuf in the first, so he's got some underrated takedowns, although I don't think he's going to be getting any wrestling off on Kattar. He's got amazing takedown defense. I just think, I get where you're coming from. It's hard to see any value. I don't know. It's just going to be close. I feel like it's going to be a close striking fight, man, for 5 rounds. And I'd rather just live bet Kattar when Allen slows down, because Kattar also starts out slow. Like he just gave up the first 2 rounds against Emmett because he just didn't want to do anything in the first 2 rounds. What are your thoughts on this over 4.5? $1.70. It's not bad, man. I think that could be pretty higher than that, maybe minus 200 or something.
Yeah, that's probably what I was expecting, to be honest, like a minus 180, minus 200. I'd be very surprised if Allen finishes Kattar. The only question mark for me is how does Allen look later in the fight, right? If he's consistently getting backed up and Kattar's sort of finding him in the small cage, and it just depends what version of Kattar we get. If he's still just doing his like jab routine like he did against Emmett, then that over probably looks huge value, right? But maybe he's learned from that fight and he's like, I lost that decision, just not doing enough, so I'm really going to come out here and put it on this guy. And Allen is a guy who kind of gives you chances to put it on him because he just backs up, right? So he's going to let Kattar come forward and throw it if he wants to. So that would be my only concern. Again, similar to that other fight we talked about, I'd rather just pay Kattar money line, which is actually plus money now on Bet Online. He's just gone to plus money. So, yeah, I think that's value though, like a minus 130. But yeah, just with how Allen's looked in round 3s in the past, and Kattar's ability to pour volume on and finish guys when he wants to, when he does decide to go for it, would just give me a little bit of pause, and then maybe just push me towards taking Kattar money line over there.
Yep, I've just talked myself into it, so I would have played it if my phone was here, but it's somewhere in the other room, so I'll definitely play that. It's just gonna be, this is going over. I mean, I've seen Kattar have a zombie gig up on the ropes from round 3 and just not put it on and not finish him, even let him back in the fight in round 5. So this is just going to be I had my over under props, but recently I've been doing well with him, so that's a bet for me. $1.70, 2 boxes. That, I mean, even Allen's last finish, it was Hooker was still on his feet. He didn't even get knocked out properly. Just Hooker doesn't know how to go for takedowns when he's hurt, which is just so frustrating. But yeah, that's it, man. Let's do the best bets. You got any bets for me?
Oh, there's a few, right? How many should I choose?
Just give me your favorite and then your second favorite, and that'll do.
Okay. I guess my favorite, I'll go with Josh Fremd, money line.
I thought that
it was probably, slightly worse price than Hawes, but obviously doesn't have the durability or cardio concerns of a Hawes. And it's funny, Gore and Dolidze kind of like similar in the regard that they just don't do much and kind of need to pull memes out of their ass. Second favorites would be Hawes and Kattar money lines.
Nice.
Khalil not so much now. It's like plus 130, I think. you've lost. If it's not bad, but I liked it much more at the early price.
I was going to say, I'm not a fan that the one bet that we have together is not even in your top two, but that's fine.
Yeah, obviously that's up there at the price I got, but it's come in a fair ways.
Honestly, if I'm being honest, at the end of my breakdowns, I write down what I think the odds should be. They were pretty similar to what they are now, so I was like, maybe marginal value, maybe 10 cents. But
you kind of got to factor in Khalil's, cardio's obviously can look bad, and sometimes just mentally he checks out if things are getting a bit tough. Hasn't happened lately, but you just never know, right?
But he's also got all the finishing upside too, which would, as a decent underdog, that's covers it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, realistically, my favorite bets have been doing good so far, even when I haven't played him. Obviously, Dariush was my favorite, even though I didn't play him in the end. And at the moment, like, I do have Khalil as my only official play. Like, it's on my bookie played. Nothing else is played. But I don't like doing these pods and not having any bets. We might have to do Wednesday or Thursday next week. We'll see. But I really like this go $1.70 over 4.5, man. And you know what? I might just go another level and make it go the distance, right? Because if he hasn't finished by 4.5 rounds, why is he going to finish?
Well, there's very few 5-round fights that have finished in the last 2.5 minutes of the last round. You're looking at Yair zombie kind of things.
Yeah, like, I mean, look at the Giga fight, man. Like, if he couldn't finish him then, and then he just let Giga back into the fight in round. This is why I fade Kattar. He hasn't improved it in the Emmett fight. He hasn't improved it in the Giga fight. He did the same thing against Dan Ige. He let Dan Ige bust his nose up. He could have got Ige out of there too. He's not really, unless he lands the perfect 1-2, which for some reason he doesn't seem to like to throw him anymore. Maybe his hand is injured. I don't know. Remember, he kept throwing elbows against Giga as well. Maybe something did happen to his right hand. Who knows? But I think Allen. The only concern is I've never seen Allen really hurt by anyone. And Allen on the other side, I mean, he can't finish Jordan Rinaldi. He can't finish Melendez. He can't finish Nick Lentz. Hurt Yusuf twice.
Allen's not finishing. Yeah, I'd be very surprised to see Allen finish.
He's going to come out Gaetano Perello. I didn't realize he fought Gaetano Perello. We all know him. He's the chinniest dude in the world. He fought him in Cage Wars and he couldn't finish him. So, yeah, I'm going to have to suck it up and play.
I've just seen Kattar no scorecards, -130. Wow.
-130. No scorecards, which means what if Kattar finishes?
Finish only. Yeah, finish only.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
good? They're saying it's basically almost a pick 'em with a tiny lean to Kattar about who finishes.
Well, I'm kind of nervous because I guess he has finished. Allen has finishing power. He never lets it start. It's just how he fights. He fights like a TriStar guy. I don't know. And Kattar kind of reminds me of Hooker. Not much head movement, but very durable and a bit slow. So it's like,
I think it's much better than that. He didn't get hit clean much by Emmett. I think his guard's a lot tighter than Hooker's.
It is, but he shells up a lot and he backs up a lot. So and he doesn't counter. So if Old Man unloads on him on his guard, he's just going to do a Holloway and just keep backing up with shell up and eat hooks. But yeah, I just don't think Allen's going to be coming out the same way as he did against Hooker. I think that was a game plan. Just how wild he was, and he got hit and he just kept going. He wasn't concerned about gassing. He just said, "I need to come in. I need to get a finish." So yeah, at the moment, I love that. I'll play that, and then I might have 5 units on Jacoby V Vanderaa as my second favorite bet, which is obviously a joke. I don't know. I like Hawes. Let me decide right now. Park, no way. Garcia, Lima, around KO. No. So it's I like Khalil. It's decided. Khalil's my favorite bet. Actually, no. Go the distance in this fight in the main event. It's probably going to be close to plus money, amazing value, and Khalil Roundtree at $2.40 is my second favorite bet. But stay tuned on my Twitter and on comment section. We might have some better bets by the end of the week.
Sweet.
Other than that, that's it. Thanks for joining me, mate. Hopefully another profitable week. And yeah,
fingers crossed.
Follow Scrap, Big Steve, Kappa Scrap on Twitter. Like and subscribe. Everyone's been really good. I don't have many subscribers, but the likes have always been quality. So must be maybe the content is just that good. Who knows? But thank you, everyone. Thanks, mate, for joining me. And yeah, talk next week.
All right. Cheers, mate. Catch up.
Bye.